All right, Debbie, we're live.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good, good. I'm doing good too. Thank you for asking. Welcome to this episode of Vestibular Talks. I really appreciate it that you're here with us today.
Thank you. I am happy to get the word out on these illnesses.
These conditions, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I hate to even call them a disease or an illness. It's a syndrome.
It's yes, yes. I am like you. I don't like to call it an illness or a disease like some people do, because I don't like to give it that much power, right? So I just
I'm
say
the same way. I'm the same
condition.
way. I've never referred to it as Meniere's, disease. It's always been Meniere's syndrome. And
Yes.
exactly.
All right. So I know a little bit about your story from following your page, but for the people that don't know you, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Sure. I was first diagnosed with Meniere's when I was probably about 24 years old.
Okay.
And it first started with, it felt like I had a head cold. My ears would feel a lot of pressure, and it was like they needed to pop.
Yeah.
And, they were plugged. There was this plugged fullness sensation. And that's how it first showed itself. I went to quite a few doctors. Nobody could find anything wrong. I didn't have a cold. I went and saw the chairman of the ENT department at the University of Utah, and that's when I was diagnosed with the Meniere syndrome, which at the beginning was really not much. I just had to avoid caffeine, go low sodium,
Yeah.
and not have stress. Which,
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. I won't have stress then. That's good. Um, so I was fine for a couple of years like that. And then I started to have, a few dizzy episodes.
Yeah.
And they presented themselves first as full vertigo. Again, went back up to the doctors again, and it was the same diagnosis. And I was so disappointed to know, and you probably heard this from others, no progress had been made. I mean, maybe this is 5 or 6 years. Nobody knows anything different. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Because now I'm 30, and there's been no progress. And I was somebody that was looking for that magic pill because that's how we've been conditioned.
Yes.
Just give me the pill, and then I'll be better, right?
Yeah.
And so this time they had me do an MRI. I also did the whole like water weird balance thing through the ears,
Yes. Yes.
and which is awful. I don't know how they ever even thought about that. It's just an awful, I guess, kind of like I don't know, procedure, I guess what you would call it, that they did, a test.
Yeah.
And from that, I was pushing for, can we be a little more aggressive? Because, it seems like it's getting worse. And now it
Yes.
was in both ears. So now I had bilateral.
Yeah.
And I would have intermittent, more of hearing loss. And the hearing loss would be more like at times like it wasn't quite tuned to a station. So no matter how loud people spoke, it was still hard for me to understand them
Okay.
because my tones weren't, if all your tones are at this level, like you're hearing everything at like 10 decibels, some would be down, this one would be like at 40, and then this one's at 10, and this one's at 20. And, they were all
Yeah.
over the map.
They are not consistent. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like wanting to tune it in. So it was very frustrating time. And they also told me, hey, it's, we're thinking it's an immunity type of an illness. So again, at first I'm thinking, yay, this is progress. But
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
realized they still knew nothing about that. And then when they explained a little bit more about an immunity category, I I didn't believe that my body was attacking itself. I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
that makes no sense to me. And I thought, what a terrible thought to actually put into somebody's mind, right? Now I can't trust my body.
Yes.
it's against me. And this time they started me on like a vasodilator. So I was already on a diuretic. So now I'm on a vasodilator. Really did nothing, because I think the symptoms came when they did. Whatever I was doing had no impact.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
thing that probably had impact was no caffeine, and basically, lowering stress.
Low.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
caffeine's really the only one that you can control easily. Stress is, a more difficult thing that, of how we learn how to process that. Not much changed. A few more years go by. They started having me do histamine injections. So
Yep.
I did histamine injections into my legs. And I think this came from Canada or something that they did there, because I'm starting to think like Canada is being more progressive. I actually wanted to visit a Canadian doctor. And that's the best that we were doing at the time. And I was actually seeing another chairman of the ENT clinic, and they're ear specialists. So they're ENTs that, as you know, they have a couple more years experience. So they're really the specialist in ears that you can get, the top of the
Yep.
line. And so we did that. And, that didn't cause me very much relief. I probably did it for like a year. And then they decided that, yes, since it is in this immunity category, let's go ahead and put her on Emuran, because I've been on and off prednisone all through all of these bouts, which, is a terrible drug. I think it's terrific at what it does, but it's not something you want to take long term at all.
Yes. Yes.
And in the meantime, I'm still fighting all of this. And I remember the doctor, before they sent me for the Emuran to go see the rheumatologist, was telling me again about, really what happens with this disease, and how actually I'm really doing quite well, for how people are. And, it's words I can't even say out of my mouth right now, but I just told him that will not happen to me. I think it's probably a nightmare page, but I said, you guys need to get studying this. There should be more progress.
Yes.
I've had this, I've been seeing you for 7 years. I've had it since I was 24. I'm now 34. I mean, it's 10 years.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just so forceful in it that he looked at me, and I recall him saying, it probably won't happen to you. And I thought, I am determined. That's not going to happen to my body. I'm going to find an answer. And I kept pushing them. I said, are you sure there aren't allergies involved? I said, I truly feel like it's metabolic, or it has something to do with how I'm eating, because if my ears start to fade and all of a sudden my hearing's decreasing, if I drink a ton of water or I eat a good meal, they come back. And I always heard, no, nothing happens. I'm like, but I've been looking on the internet, I've been looking at this and that. And they're like, well, anybody can put anything on the internet. Where I'm like, okay, but we're not trying. I just felt like we're not trying. And I subsequently moved, and because I think those were all the things. I stayed on the Emuran for a long time. And it's not a very good drug to be on either. It's an immunity suppressant.
Yeah.
So I have to be monitored closely, and they put fear into you every time, like you can't get a fever. Where I'm just like, oh my gosh. So and I would do well for a while, and then I would have a big bout of it. I didn't tell people my daily life, but my daily life was a struggle all the time. I was always kind of having to clear my ears so I could hear. I'm always worried about where do I position myself, because I'm fine, but I'm not fine. I mean, and nothing really changes. It's an invisible illness. Nobody can see anything. And I didn't ever want to be different than anybody else. And I'm having all of this through, a 25 plus year at a mining company where I was in finance, and then community relations, and, I was just in a lot of different roles that I needed to be hearing, and I needed to be at the top of my game. And it was
you need to be 100%.
An incredible struggle. So when I moved to Denver, again, I'm seeing the chairman of the ENT, the ear specialist, because there really only a few of them. And I know 4 of them now because anytime I moved, the other one would connect me with the other one. And so I know the one in New York and Florida, so it's just, and there was still no progress, nothing new, except for I just still kept knowing things could be different. And I even had the steroid injections in my ears. Those started in Utah. I didn't have the steroid injection in Denver, but I had them again in Miami. And the last time I had them in Miami was in 2018. And I had have a little bit of relief, and then everything would come back. And in the meantime, I'm these bouts of prednisone again. And I came home one day and I had just had it because I was starting to feel like my life was starting to slip away more and more. I've been fighting this, I'm 54 now, so that's a long time to be fighting this illness. And
you look way younger, by the way. You look really young. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Hasn't won. That disease has not won. But I remember coming home and I was just frustrated. I looked at my husband because I didn't read any, I think I'd read one other health book. I stopped going on the internet for any information because I realized people don't really share good news stories on the internet.
Yes.
You're going to hear the worst possible case.
It's scariest. Yeah.
Yes. Those are the people that are angry enough to put it out there. When we're feeling good, we don't really think, hey, I think I'll tell the world. We forget. We just enjoy our life.
Yes.
And I had stopped doing any of that. And I think I've read one book back in 2011. Sorry, just jump like this. When I started seeing an acupuncturist. And she did provide me a little bit of relief. I think the acupuncture helped. But what she did do was she had me get off gluten and dairy and peanuts. I was already low sugar, because I had become hypoglycemic and all of that during all of this. And again, I thought, food, here it is again. So I saw the doctors. I said, I'm off these. I'm doing better. They're like, well, we don't see a connection. And, but if it's working for you, that's great. And I always thought, well, you know what, if it's working for me, maybe it would work for others. I mean, shouldn't we test this? But I never could gain any traction doing that. And to me, that was just frustrating because I didn't ever want anyone to suffer as much as I did. So I always thought if I could help somebody else, then it makes all this worth it, right? If we can help a cure for any of this. And during this time, I would it's like my hearing would decrease. And then when it would start to come back, it would be like an engine turning on. It was like all of a sudden, it scared me the first time it happened because I would just be sitting there and all of a sudden it was this loud noise in this ear. And it was like an engine. It would be like, and the louder it would get, it would spin. It's kind of like it was starting up and then it would spin, and it's kind of like it cleaned out whatever was in there. And then it was working. It was weird. And I described that to, all 4 of the ENT chairman, and everybody thought it was interesting, but they'd never heard anybody talk about it before, to where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I'm the only one that has this happen. So I had that going on, and now we flash forward to 2018, where again I'm thinking I need to read another book. The one helped me change my diet. I saw some relief, but I'm not seeing relief anymore, and it seems like it's back with the vengeance. And I never really believed that it went dormant either, because people would say, oh, it's just in remission. I thought, I don't think so. I think whatever those triggers are, because I'm a cause effect person, something happens, but they can't see in the inner ear, so nobody knows what happens. But I'm like, something triggers it. There's something study me. Put me in there for a week and watch me. And I came home. I was angry. I'd had the shots. I'm not doing well. I'm back up prednisone again. I'm just really, really starting to get discouraged and wonder, like, oh my gosh, I'm back at the bottom again. And I did go on the internet and I Googled and I found the Medical Medium book.
Yep.
And it was the first one that I read a snippet. I've never been able to find that snippet since then. But when he described Meniere's, before I bought it, he described Meniere's, and he talked about how it comes up the back of the neck and all of this. I have described that symptom to doctors my whole life. All I got was, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this person's describing it where I'm like, that's it. And I had a weird feeling like this is going to provide me relief. This person gets it. And I immediately bought the book. I think I bought two of them. I think I got his Thyroid Healing and the initial Medical Medium book. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Yeah, I have the original one.
Yeah. I mean, it's changed my life. I immediately began implementing the celery juice, and I took out all of the no foods, which are canola oil, citric acid, gluten, dairy, corn, soy. Sure, I'm missing one. But those were the big ones. And it made me think, when I first took out gluten and dairy, I had a ton of relief. But then what do we ultimately do? We fill it in with a lot of corn.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We replace it.
Yes, replace one for the other, yes.
Exactly, because it's like, okay, well, to go gluten-free, corn everything. And all this, it just started making sense to me. At the same time, which deviates a little from this, I was diagnosed with having a fatty liver. And so for me, like a whole bunch of connections, because that was exactly what, if you read the Medical Medium books, the liver is where these viruses, where he claims that the Meniere's disease is due to Epstein-Barr virus. So I couldn't go crazy gung-ho with the Medical Medium. I couldn't start all the supplements, and I couldn't, because I'm kind of like, I'm very results oriented, and I'm very driven. And once I commit to something, I'm incredibly consistent. So I just wanted to just jump in. It's like, I'm going for this. And my husband was just like, got to be kidding that, you cannot start doing these. The doctors are not going to allow it. But I immediately, so as I could, I slowly started integrating in supplements once I was cleared with my liver. But I was doing the celery juice, the no foods were out. I was eating very clean. And I started doing the heavy metal detox smoothie that he recommends. But again, I didn't put in the barley juice grass powder or lactic dulse or the spirulina yet. I was very careful that I only added in these other foods because I was working with these other doctors to be sure. They're pretty freaked out. And from the levels of my liver test, that I should have actually been hospitalized. Ooh. And I was actually starting to feel better because I had started the celery juice like 2 weeks before this happened, and which had been diagnosed from blood tests from a couple weeks prior. So that, anyways, that all kind of came together. But I was actually starting to feel better from everything. That I had a hard time believing that I had an issue, but. I guess the long story shorter, I'm so passionate about it now because it really has given me back my life. It wasn't magical because healing naturally is not linear, and you have to get whatever's in you bad out, and we're no longer band-aiding it. We're not reducing the inflammation with prednisone. We're stopping the inflammation from starting. Yes. And, it's difficult, which is what I always wanted to do because I'm also a big process improvement person. And so that's why it was really hard with myself, because I'm wanting to improve myself, and I can't, because I can't get in there and see what's going on. I can only try to experiment. But that is what has given me my lease on life. And I'm a year and a half. Today is actually a year and a half of following the Medical Medium, the celery juice, the whole gamut. and I'm doing great. Through hearing test, some of my tones are up 20 decibels, and that's significant.
You're improving. Yeah. Okay, Debbie. So a lot of things that you mentioned, I want to touch base on those. First one, when this started happening, you were only 24 years old, right?
Right.
At 24, it's a very, very young age to get Meniere's. It's almost unheard of to get Meniere's at that early age. So a lot of times, from a lot of people that I've talked to, I noticed they get diagnosed with Meniere's, but eventually they realize years later that what they had was vestibular migraines. I don't know if you're familiar with vestibular migraines. They are very, very similar to Meniere's because the symptoms are very similar. You get the dizziness, you get the kind of like the brain fog, that your mind is kind of like confused. You get ringing and pressure in your ears. You get neck pain in the back of your neck. Sometimes you get headaches. You get visual disturbances. So your eyes, it's almost like it's hard for them to focus or to follow movement. And or you get a vision, like snow spots in your vision, like you get flashes of light or you get spots of lights in your vision. So that one is more common for somebody at 24 years of age. So again, there is no cure for it, but the way to kind of like attack it, it's by doing all the things that you did: eliminating dairy, eliminating gluten, eliminating sugars, eliminating soy. So that's why I'm curious to know, because you did all those things and you started to see improvement in your body and in yourself. So I'm thinking maybe you got diagnosed with Meniere's, but maybe you actually had vestibular migraines, but because you were doing the right things with the elimination diet, with acupuncture, with taking care of yourself, with less stress, that's why you started to get better and better, because you were actually tackling the symptoms of vestibular migraine on your own. So that's why I'm curious. I'm very, very curious to know if maybe you had vestibular migraines rather than Meniere's, just because of the age. Because at 24, it's very, in Meniere's, I think it only affects, I think it's 1% of the population, 1 or 2%, but vestibular migraines is a bigger number. So I'm maybe curious to know if you were misdiagnosed, but in your own way of, in your own mentality, in your own focus to try and defeat Meniere's, you actually defeated vestibular migraines, which I believe might have been what you had.
Well, that is so fascinating to hear that, because numerous times I brought up to the doctor saying, Meniere's syndrome. I mean, are they just lumping a whole bunch of stuff into one category? I kept asking them that. I said, because I express things to you and you're like, And, it's like I became friends, especially with the doctor in Utah, but I know I was a pain in the butt because I was always pushing him like, go study,
go learn.
That's so fascinating, because the only time I've ever been heard about vestibular migraines is a little bit in the medical medium reading that I've done that they've talked about that, but not one doctor has ever mentioned that. They've all said, no, clear case of, bilateral Meniere's, syndrome. I just call syndrome. But that's so fascinating, because that would be so interesting.
But you're doing the right things. You're doing the right things anyways. So I'm not surprised that you're feeling better and you're feeling improvement, because you're really, really step by step doing everything that helps you to get better. A question that I have for you is, so from what you told me, you moved a lot to a few different places.
Right.
The air pressure, because obviously Denver is very different air quality and air pressure to Miami, for example, and same thing to New York. Any of those changes in atmospheric pressure, did it cause to feel better, to feel worse, to feel different, anything like that?
You know what? It didn't, but that was one thing that I was always all about. I kept wondering, and my husband wondered too, like when we take a vacation, initially when we lived in Utah, like now we're in the Bahamas or wherever. Are you going to feel better here? Well, we have to move here because all of a sudden you're magically better. And it never was like that. I had issues everywhere, unfortunately.
Mm,
Unfortunately. But it's incredible now because it's so exciting because now I can fly and I have no problems.
no
And I
fear.
never had any problems there, but I was always terrified that, maybe the air pressure, something with the airplane. And I would even take like an antihistamine when I got on the flights.
Yeah,
And, didn't do anything because I didn't have that problem.
yeah,
It was controlled by something completely different. But that's very interesting. I'll have to read up on all of that.
yeah.
And it's so interesting that if that's the case, because they always said I was unusual because they're like most people, because I'm like, we should start a support group. And then they're like, well, most people are 60 or 70, and they're kind of looking at me like, I don't think they're going to really want to be in your support group. That only now do I feel like I can help people because I hear more people with this, and we are
Yes.
younger now, and that Instagram is just this great, way to be able to
Platform.
access
Yeah.
but yes, it's a great platform to be able to reach a lot of people that aren't really trolling it for things like that we really are wanting to connect and ask people questions that we never would have access to that before.
Yes. Yes. And
Facebook isn't very good for it, but Instagram seems to be.
yeah, and that's why I had the idea of doing these vestibular talks, because much like you, I experienced the same. I will go to the doctors and they were like, we're not sure what it is, but good luck. Hopefully you'll get better. And they'll try to push a bunch of medications on you, and you will say, okay, is this gonna make me better? And they're like, well, maybe, maybe not. Like it's almost like they are not even confident on the diagnosis that they give you or the treatment that they give you. So that's why as I started these video chats, because many people, number one, are learning like you are, like learning on your own, pushing, not giving up, no surrendering to this. And then other people can listen to you from your experience and say, hey, if that's helping Debbie, maybe it can help me as well, right?
Exactly. What are you diagnosed with?
So at the beginning, they thought it was many years. So they did a bunch of testing, hearing tests, all the things. Then they said, no, we think it's triple PD, so PPPD, because of the consistent dizziness. Like at the beginning, I got the vertigo, right? Only for a couple of days. Then I stayed dizzy every day, all day long, but it was like I was on a boat. I felt like I was rocking from side to side every day. And then that started to subside, and I started feeling more like off balance. Like I would feel like I'm leaning to the left, and I would have to catch myself. So now they diagnosed me. The neurologist said is vestibular migraines, and same thing. They gave me a bunch of medication, a bunch of pills, which the side effects are more messed up than the actual condition. So I do a lot of the things that you do. The
Right.
elimination diet. I do yoga. I exercise every day. I read a lot. I try to keep my stress levels down, and I'm 7.5 months in, and I feel better than when it started. So yes, I believe
Oh,
we are doing the right things.
so very similar. I mean, I never think I had the rocking side to side, but I definitely had the times where you just always felt just not right. You
Yeah,
just felt a little off.
yeah,
And it just, especially when I started the medical medium for a while. Well, I'd already felt like that. But then when you delve into it, as your body cleans out, I mean,
yeah,
you just kind of have to mark the good days, and then you eventually see more good days than bad days. But once it's gone, it's kind of gone, you
yeah.
know, only here or then. But that has been my license. So it's interesting you're doing the same thing. Do you take any supplements that you seem to find really help you a lot?
Debbie, a lot of supplements, but they do help.
Me too.
I do feel a difference in my body, and I guess the main ones are magnesium. Magnesium is a big one. Zinc. I take zinc because of the ringing in the ears. Like I hear beep. So when I take zinc, it lowers that down.
Me
Um,
too.
I take vitamin D, uh, 3,000 units of vitamin D every day. I take vitamin C, and there is a pill of a supplement called Butterbird, which is a plant that is for headaches, and then another one called White Willow that is also for headaches. And Debbie, to be honest, apparently I'm in the acute state, which is from 0 to 10 months. You're supposed to feel like crap, and I did for about 5 months. But when I started doing the supplements and the diets, like I'm in month 7.5 right now, and I function almost 100%. I do get some days that are harder than others, but I function. I work, I drive, I exercise. So I thank God, because compared to many other people that are in year like 5, year 10, and they can barely get out of their bed, I'm doing fairly good, I consider. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely, because that's a lot how it was for me. I don't think I really realized, I don't think I understood natural healing in the beginning, because, when you've been sick for so long, you're like, I do this for 3 weeks, everything's dead, and I'm good, right? And so I was a little surprised, like, oh, okay. And when I would have another bout again, and then I would go for 4 weeks, then a little bout, and then I would go for 5 weeks, then a little bout, but when you feel good, it's like a new level that you've never experienced. Like it's
Yes.
even better than you ever felt for like years.
Yeah, yeah, and you start to appreciate everything in life more than before. Debbie, the reason why I asked you about the weather in when you moved around, it's because so I used to fly a lot. I used to travel in airplanes all the time, and it never bothered me. When this hit me, I was terrified of getting on an airplane, because same thing. I was like, what if the cabin pressure make it worse? What if the change in altitude will make it worse? What if I get really dizzy or vertigo inside the airplane? So I started to panic about stuff like that. Last week, I flew to Mexico. So I almost canceled the trip, because I'm like, no, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I don't think I can do it. But then I said, you know what? Yes, God is on my side. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I went to Mexico last week, David, and it wasn't easy. But being in Mexico, the different air, being in the ocean, being away from stress, being away from social media, my symptoms decreased a lot. Like they were very, very mild. So I was wondering, I'm like, I wonder if maybe it's because the air in Canada, because I live in the mountains, is maybe heavier, or I don't know, like the pressure is different, or also it's dry weather compared to Mexico, that it was like warm tropical weather. But Debbie, I felt like $1,000,000 being in Mexico. And that's why I wanted to ask you. I'm like, maybe you living in Denver, New York, Miami, maybe you felt any difference. So that's what I wanted to ask you, if you also experienced any changes.
You know what? I have not found it to be connected, but because I found that I've had a tough time everywhere. Right now I'm in Seattle, and the first time I came was back in September, kind of like the end of August. I had another little bout. I mean, they each are like shorter in duration, lighter in intensity. And so then that let me know, okay, well, Seattle's not magical to me. But then I flew back again to Miami. Things were fine. I came back out, and I've been doing great since I've been back here. So I've been doing really terrific. It seems like I continue to progress and progress, and I still know I have healing in front of me. So I've started to have confidence that if I have that 3 steps back from the natural healing, that it's going to be lighter, it's going to go away quick, and to kind of ride that wave, because I will level up once I come out of it.
Yes.
And so I just kind of schedule for any Netflix binge I might want to have. I keep a little list, and, I haven't needed it, because, when you plan for it, right? But I've learned that to just kind of ride it and not to be terrified, because I used to be terrified of it as well. Like, oh my gosh,
Makes you very anxious.
And then we know stress makes it worse, but stress makes everything worse. So the doctor's saying, lower your stress. I'm thinking, I mean, that's just saying, like, look both ways before you cross the street. It's like, yeah, I mean, that we all try to lower our stress. I'm not out there trying to make myself sick. And that's what a hard thing. I had a hard time with the doctors. You know, kind of, it seems like the blame always comes back on us, and that was hard. So you have to be tough to deal with that.
Yes,
To deal with the lack of answers, to continue driving forward, and to deal with kind of that little blame. Well, you must have done something. Well, maybe your stress was more intense, or this or that, where it's like, yep, somehow I have done this myself, and I'm feeling such power, and you know, that you gain confidence.
Yes.
The more you heal, that we know, like, we're still healing. I mean, if I've had this for that long, it will take me a little bit, but we don't see it as this like life sentence anymore. And you know,
Exactly.
maybe it's kept us having a cleaner life. That, you know, the fact I couldn't have sugars and all these pops all the life. I mean, maybe that's helped with, you know, aging a little bit. And, you know, maybe there's a cup half full in here somewhere.
It's true, because you look extremely young. Like, you look really young. So yeah.
Thank you.
But a few
I've
things.
never had fun food.
Yeah, a few things that you said that I loved how you said it is natural healing is not linear. You said that, and I'm like, it is so true, because it's, yes, you're healing, and then you get a setback, but then you're right. You when you come out of that setback, you feel so much better and so much stronger and so much more confident. And you and I both know this condition creates a lot of anxiety, because it's not only a physical illness, but it's also a mental game, because you're put to the test every day. Every day is a new challenge, and every day in your mind you're like, oh, another day of this, but okay, I'm gonna keep fighting. And the next day you're like, oh, it's still here. Okay, I'm gonna keep fighting. So we don't give up. So it's constantly challenging us and testing our mental strength. So that's why people that are suffering from this condition and any chronic illness, I always tell them, meditation, prayer, and yoga are huge, because it helps you find that state of mind that you're not constantly anxious. You're not constantly in your fight, flight, or freeze state. Like, you learn to, like, calm down a little bit and relax.
Exactly, because you're right. Every interaction with somebody, no matter how small, is challenging when you're right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Because just to say good morning to somebody, I mean, you're not sure, did they say good morning? Did they ask me a question? You know what I mean? Are they asking for money for the bus? I mean, you know, we don't know. We don't know what's happening. And I think you're like me. I didn't want to go around with a sign saying, I don't feel well, and you know, what's this? I wanted to just be normal. I didn't ever want attention from this illness, ever.
Yes.
Until I could tell people how they can heal themselves. But, you know, I don't want people feeling sorry for me, or like, no, poor Debbie, we probably better not give her that project. You know, she's fragile. And I didn't want to be poor Debbie. I wanted to be strong Debbie. I didn't want them to know that this presentation was a, you know, welcome to my nightmare. I'm going to be able to present it, but I'm not going to be able to hear the questions that come after, because, you know, maybe by then my ears will be ringing, or the fullness will be back, or they'll be like, write your questions down and send them up. And, you know, there was one meeting I had to do that. I said, I'm so sorry. I'm just struggling. And I hate to say this, but if you have any questions, please write them on a paper and send them to me, and I'll answer them. Because when I was in channels, I needed to answer.
Sometimes that's what you got to do, to take care of yourself.
Awful. It was mortifying. But I found that people, they actually they gain an appreciation for what we're going through, but it's still something we don't like to share, because you know, who wants to be that person?
Yeah, Debbie, now the people that are in your circle, so your husband, your family, your friends, are they supportive, or do they have a hard time trying to relate and to understand what you go through in a daily basis?
You know, I think in the very beginning, I think people truly had a tough time. Because I wasn't sharing very much. So, and this would be like with my immediate family, not with my husband. It was because it was before I was married. I didn't I didn't want to share. I didn't want to know that people saw that I couldn't hear that. I don't know. For some reason, I took it as a personal defect on my part because I just didn't understand the illness and the way doctors portrayed it. But since I have shared, like with my husband, is so supportive. And I find that I will let him know when I'm having a down day, which has been a long time since I've had to say any of that. And but what I found is I would forget to tell him when it was back again, because it could be down and then it could be back in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Because especially now with the way that I'm healing now, like if it's down, it might be, 2 minutes, or it might be half an hour. But I would forget to tell him when it was better. And so, when he's speaking a little louder, all of a sudden I'm a little like, hey, because I'm a little sensitive about, like, no, I'm hearing, you don't have to talk like that. And then also I was like, oh my gosh, I'm telling you what I'm not hearing, but I'm forgetting to tell you when I'm better. I will be better. So it's really pushed me to be a better communicator and to, kind of own it and not see it as I'm a faulty human. I always kind of felt like I'm sort of broken. And, that broke my heart as well, because I didn't want to be broken. I wanted to be strong. I'm a petite individual. So the last thing I want to do is, I'm already, little Debbie. I want to be poor little Debbie. I'm like, no, I want to be strong Debbie that, can manage whatever you throw at her.
You are strong, Debbie, because you've been handling this all these years, and look at your attitude. You're willing to help others, to learn so you can heal other people. So you're extremely strong, Debbie, I will say.
Oh my gosh, made me cry. Thank you.
No, thank you. And Debbie, I don't know if you saw episode number 3 that I did of Vestibular Talks. Is a lady named Laura. She's from the States. She's a school principal, and she's been diagnosed with Meniere's as well. She's also very young, and she's been she got pushed a bunch of medication, one called beta-histine, which I got prescribed that, or they call it Circ in the States.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So I got prescribed that at the beginning when they thought I had Meniere's. She got prescribed that, and a bunch of other pills. Right now, she's pushing all of that aside, and she's doing the approach that you and I basically do: elimination diet, exercise. She's reading a lot of health books, a lot of psychology books, a lot of things like that. So I think you and Laura will benefit from meeting each other, from discussing, because you both seem to be very aligned in your healing path, with understanding that our bodies are perfect. We were created perfect, so they will know how to heal themselves. Yes, it takes time, but it's a process, but we will get to the root of what's making us ill so we can fix that internally. So I think you and Laura will benefit a lot from each other. So I'll let her know to get in touch with you, because I think you guys will very, very benefit from exchanging information on your approaches to health.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to do that, because that's one thing when I created the second Instagram page, that's it, I'm healing myself, was just to connect with those people. Because when you first start to where you say, because I take Circ right now too. Yep. I'm weaning myself off of it now to where, because I don't think it did a darn thing. I mean, if it did, I wouldn't have kept looking for the medical medium. But in the beginning, you want to keep things as consistent. You do things slowly so you can, kind of analyze if this is working well for you or not.
Yep.
It's a process. I'm a process girl. But what was I saying over that? That we're doing this all. Oh, that I'm currently weaning myself off of that, because I don't think it did anything.
Yeah, no. I think you're healing more.
I don't think it does anything, but I'm still on it, because I don't want. I mean, again, I just in case I, keep healing and then wean them off. So.
I think you're healing more from your own personal approach, from your acupuncture, your diet, and yes, we are what we eat. So what we put into our bodies is, and I am like you, I do miss certain foods, certain bad foods. I look at them and I'm like, oh, that looks so good. But no, I'm on a path. I'm on a different path. My body is my temple, so I'm following a path of health.
Absolutely, because nothing tastes as good as feeling good feels, right?
Yes.
And for us, it's not like, oh, my pants don't fit. It's like, crap, I can't hear and now I'm dizzy.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's talk about getting our attention. Because, and at times, that does make me wonder with the vestibular because, my eyes, the last time things came, getting the double vision a little. And that is correcting more and more as I'm healing myself. I think started there and then it's just started like, hey, let's go to her whole head.
Yeah, no, I think that maybe if you do a little bit of research on vestibular migraines, you might really align with what you experience and what you feel. Debbie, what does the future hold for you? What do you think the future has in store for you?
Well, you know what? I plan to continue the path that I'm on because I truly plan to, it's my goal to heal myself of all of these symptoms because, I just want them gone. Like the ringing is super duper duper low now, but I'd really like it to be gone.
Yeah.
I would like to see if I can't continue to increase my hearing even more, even though now I really don't struggle in any social situations. But I'd really like to see if I can't get it to normal. And then I want to go to the doctors and say, I mean, I really do. I want to, my goal would be, I'd really like to change the medical establishment a little bit to try to incorporate some of these things in the beginning. And, it's up to the people. If they're not willing to change their diet, that's a different story. But show them that this path, because had I been shown this path at 24, what a different life I would have led.
Yes, that's true. So that's why we have this power now and this opportunity of sharing this in social media to help as many people as we can.
Exactly. And what is your goal? I mean, are you sharing this with the medical community as well?
I tried, but they are very stubborn because they do not believe that the medications and the pills that they prescribe are not the answer for everything. When you tell them, no, but my diet is helping me, they are like, sure it is. Yeah, whatever. If it's good for you, good for you. But they dismiss it. They don't see the importance of proper nutrition and proper eating, how that affects your body.
Well, and it's funny too, because when you said you are what you eat, and we are what we eat, and how we just like, you hear that and it's like, aha, but we never even think like that. We're not even taught that.
Yeah,
right? We just eat, what looks good, what smells good.
Yeah.
What can outlive us? We eat it, where it's like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. Well, what my hope has been, because I have all of my hearing records and all of that. I have my medical records because, where I move along or, that they just kind of give them to me so I can give them to the next doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know because I'll be like, this guy and that guy. But what I'd like to do is to ultimately have a hearing test that I can provide to them saying, truly, this works.
This is the proof.
You could really help the people, or if you don't believe in it, I don't know, send them to people like you and I where we could say, you know what, this is what helped us. You try those medications, take them if because sometimes they provide a little bit of comfort.
Yes.
This, and then kind of wean yourself off of that. Because, diuretics, which is their favorite thing to prescribe, was the answer. We all would have been cured on day one.
I know. Yes.
Well, we're on a diuretic. It does nothing. You do something a little, but, as we learn more, it's a lot more complex than just fluid in there. I think I can understand why they think that, but it's, I would just like him to hop inside my head one day and they'd be like, no, she's right. There's something. She drinks water. Things change. Something's up with that.
And I'm like you, I drink a lot of water daily. When I don't drink as much water on a daily basis, I do feel the symptoms increasing. So I'm constantly water all day long.
Absolutely. The more hydrated we stay. And you
Yeah.
know, we're proving it. And I think, oh, there's one other thing I wanted to mention for people that when you get the hearing test, like you know you're hearing better, but you take the hearing test, but it doesn't reflect a lot of change. But then you know you're in conversations, you're not having to ask what, you're not having to pop your ears, you know, you're not having to do any of these other things that we do as tricks to hear as well as we can. That I have chatted with one audiologist that was so beneficial that told me that is only one method of measuring hearing. They can't really determine how much conversation we're picking up. And when you put someone like us that has suffered from this for a while, we do have anxiety. When we go in that little photo booth and people are measuring it, our heart rate, we are going to increase because we so badly want it to be better.
Yes.
It's not a natural circumstance for us. So for anyone that's getting those and not, you know, feeling frustrated because they're not aligning with how they feel, it was nice to have one of them say, you know what, it's only one method of measurement.
Yes.
And it really doesn't determine. She's like, I could tell you're hearing better now just from the last time you were here and how we're chatting right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, you know, that's just something for me. At first it was disheartening because I expected it really to go crazy up. And then it has started to now, but I really have to relax myself when I'm in there. And I've had to have confidence that this test means nothing to me.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Love it to go all the way up so I could be like, you guys, this is freaking proof, and you guys all know me. You know, you all met me. You're all at this conference together, and I know all of you. So
good. You're gonna show them.
I guess I'm like, help people, you know, and it doesn't take away from your doctorate abilities. We need for all of these.
It's a new approach. Yeah.
But you know, help guide us. You know, help guide us with some of this food.
Debbie, if somebody that is watching this video wants to get a hold of you or see what you're learning, how can they find you? What's your Instagram page?
My Instagram page is that's it _ I'm healing myself.
Good.
And it just fit because back in 2018, when I had it and the shots in the ears, that's exactly what I said. I pretty much yelled it at my husband and then just did a deep dive into the internet. I think I scared my husband like, oh my gosh, I've never seen her like this. And she never goes on the internet to look for this stuff. And my world changed after I uttered those words and found the book and have guided myself through that.
You're on a mission.
Please reach out to me.
Yes, good. You're on a mission. You're on a mission to heal and to help. So that's good.
You know, it just exactly like you are, because it's hard to see someone suffering. And in the beginning, when you're so impressionable and before you've lost hope, it's like, get them then before, you know, it really, you know, before you're just so beaten down that you'll try anything. You know, I'd hum like a bat facing north for 3 hours a day if someone told me that would help me. I was desperate. Change my food was nothing.
Yeah, I know. I've experienced that as well. And I experience people in the, not necessarily medical, but certain people in the, let's say, chiropractors or physiotherapists, that they promise you that they're going to heal you if you spend thousands of dollars in treatments. And I've spent countless amount of money at the beginning to trying to find help. And the biggest help that I found was from changing my diet and doing all those things. I mean, yes, I thank all of those professionals that had the good intention to help me, but spending all that money was unnecessary. So I do believe that if you and I can educate other people that are experiencing this before they spend thousands of dollars, that money they might not have, so we can make a difference if we teach them that there is an easier way.
Absolutely. Like, it would be great for someday if they allowed, like a couple of us that have done this, to attend when they have conferences and they're discussing some of these illnesses, you know, to have us, you know, have a place where we're a little bit of a platform there where we can say, this is what we've done, and, you know, maybe chat with some of the doctors, or, I mean, I don't know, somehow because we need our doctors. We need them, for so many different things. But the chronic illnesses, we need them because we're going to turn to them, but we need them to help us with the food because we both are a true testament, and to help us get the right supplements. Yes. I mean, one supplement for me, like some of them, they have the weirdest names now. I never would have taken these a million years, but like lemon balm, it's huge for me. For stress, I mean, it's a real good one if I feel any anxiety. I went on a cruise this year.
Wow, that I don't know how you did that. I don't know if I could do that right now.
I know. I'm thinking for a moment as we're setting sail, like, is this welcome to my nightmare? Was I an idiot? Was this too soon? But I did just fine. And I only had one time where I felt a little weird. I went back to the room, took lemon balm, and I felt just fine. So, I mean, that's the power of food.
Yeah.
And determination, and consistency. So,
would you mind sending me, when you have time, a list of the supplements that you take? So when I upload this video online, I can put them underneath and people can see if they want to buy them, if they want to try the same supplements, so that they have the option to know what you take and it might help them as well. Would you mind sending me a message?
Absolutely. And then absolutely. And then I'll also note the book, that kind of was like, it's my Bible. So I could tell my husband, I'm drinking the sour juice. I'm following, he's my guru. But, I've been looking for someone to show me the path. I was trying to get there myself, but it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it is. You need a mentor, and you need your own discipline and self-confidence as well.
Plus, like, when they're getting us off citric acid, I would never have even have thought of citric acid. Who would have even thought of that? And who would realize that it's in everything? It's in
a It is, yes. And with gluten is everywhere. But you're right. We need to be careful with, if we're going to eliminate gluten, not replace it with corn, and because corn also has its own side effects. So everything needs to be limited. Everything is good with a limit.
Well, you're really navigating this uncharted, and you need someone to help hold your hand a little. And I think that's where, we're living proof. And it's great because we also could tell people, because we have our little journals, like, it was great, I went this long, and then I had a little bit, and then I'm back. I mean, for them to see, like, okay, she really is doing it herself. Because I think what people forget is when they get that pill from the doctor, we forget when we look back, our stuff wasn't magically better.
Yeah.
We just sort of look at it as being a little bit better until we become frustrated. But when we start to heal naturally, we don't give ourselves that same compassion.
Yeah.
We just feel like, well, I drank that stuff yesterday. How come I don't, I should feel better.
Need to be patient. Trust the process. Have faith in your journey. Yeah.
Yes, prednisone never healed us overnight. And it never healed us. It just made a few days better here and then. Maybe subsided things a little. It came with so many side effects that sometimes I don't know whether we thought we felt better because once we're off it, I mean,
I know. I know. I know very well what you mean.
Does this feel better than that hill? I don't know, but
Anyways, Debbie, we're
letting me share my story.
One of the time, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really love talking to you. This interview has been great, and I hope we can keep in touch, and we can keep learning more from each other and learning more from others and teaching other people how to heal.
Oh, absolutely. And, maybe someday we'll be able to get an audience with some, forward-thinking doctors. I think they call them a lot more functional doctors, and more going that direction that, are willing to listen to some of this. And, what do they have to lose?
Yeah, exactly. It's no harming anybody. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Exactly.
All right, Debbie. Well, very nice to meet you, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.